I know kids who I send to New York, they want to make a buck, they want to make a living, so they do that, and very often many of them get caught up in that and don't have time to do anything else. With a small percentage that will say, well, I'll work at this part-time and I'm going to create my company as long as I can. And many of them fall by the wayside. They just can't keep it going.
The dance community in New York is very inspirational and innovative and inspiring. There are so many great dancers here and so many new things going on, and there's Broadway and ballet and modern, and everything's here in one small city. So I think with any kind of artist, because it's not on the path, you know, like the normal path of what people do, you have to be in it all the time. We're basically athletes, you know. You can't hurt your instrument. And I think that doing drugs and things like that eventually screws you up in the life. It might help you out now, but I feel like if you want to dance into your 50s, into your 60s, you can't do that stuff. It's not going to help. Me personally, I have a strict diet. I'm a vegetarian, and I take class every day to keep in shape, no matter what.
I would say that New York is definitely the place to be. Just the community here is so much more diverse. So I think there's definitely an education here that you're not going to get in a lot of other cities. If you're looking to expose yourself to like a variety of different cultures and a variety of different whatever, I would definitely say be in New York. I think with the way the economy is going right now, it's becoming more of a problem. So a lot of the artists or performers that aren't getting contracts are forced to live in other cities, you know, in Brooklyn, or in my case I live in Jersey, because the rent is so much more affordable and we actually have a living space as opposed to paying the same amount to live in Manhattan and having, you know, a closet to live in. And the pay grade is really shitty. I mean, it's either you're making $75 a performance or you're making $1,500 a week. The last couple months in 2010 were very like touch and go, where I had to really watch my budget and, you know, be like, okay, I'm not making any money this week. So that any of the other performing or anything I do that I make money off of is just frivolous. It's not, I don't depend on it to live off of.
Living in New York is so expensive, but especially being a dancer, you know, a lot of times dancers, you wait for auditions and you wait for jobs and then you just don't get it. And I don't understand the dancers who do that. So that's why a lot of dancers you see will be working as a server, or, you know, we're doing all those other smaller jobs because that's our side job. That's how we make the money to live in New York City, to take dance class. But I was doing that so much that I actually didn't have any time to take dance classes. So I didn't have any time to practice what I was doing. So I was actually not training, and I wasn't becoming any better. I wasn't looking good. I wasn't keeping up everything I have to keep up to be a dancer in New York City, because I was just trying to make the money just to stay here, kind of thing.
It takes 8 to 10 years to make a dancer, being taught well, so whether you're a ballet dancer or a modern dancer, whatever it is. I would have to say it's something practiced and disciplined and put together with a technique that is amassed over the years and puts change for any musician, any writer who's a serious writer, or a poet or an artist, goes through years of learning to get to a certain level.
You have to be skinny. You can't just be skinny, you have to be sexy. You can't just be like sexy, you have to be like sexy the way that is everywhere in New York City. Like, you have to have like a skinny with like 6-pack with arms and like face, and your hair has to be pretty, and gay world, you know, everyone's judging. So you have to stay in shape all year long and like binge. You just can't eat anything you want anymore. Like, and then you see the people who are dancers, and that's why they're not working. And because my work is unstable. Like, I will go and perform somewhere at 1:30 at night. You know what I mean? Like, that's not very. Does it really work into a stable lifestyle? If I just stay like this all the time, it just works for me bad. Don't eat. You can't perform really with food in me. So imagine performing at like 1:30 at night. I mean, you wake up going, I'm not gonna eat today. Or like on special occasions, like if it's the day of a performance, you can eat, but you just can't keep it inside you. Sometimes, obviously, like cocaine, you just take it once, or in the morning sometimes, and then you won't eat anything during lunch, and then dinner time comes, and then you blow your brains out, and you just don't eat that day or the next day. And then they binge eat, and you eat so much, and then you puke it up all right after. But that's not good for your stomach, and you can feel it when you go to sleep. Like there's certain things that you feel in your body that you shouldn't feel. But then when you're dancing, you don't feel anything. So the whole thing is that like I love it here, and I wouldn't trade it to go home or anywhere. And I would rather be unstable like this until I get to where I want to be. And then hopefully I'll be stable after that. But just like the whole stableness, like I don't have time to be healthy right now. Like artists, they're all crazy in their own way. I have to perform a lot, or I'm like sexually attracted to women with them, and I do it, and we do it on stage, and it's like believable. And then I absolutely don't. I think you have to be able to become out of your shell easily.
And have these dance-offs and all these wigs and costumes, and they'd all be backstage, and we'd all be supporting each other, and it was one of the most like nurturing environments to ever be creative, and we could really do whatever we wanted. And that was when I understood what drag meant. As we're doing it, as we're performing, and as things are happening, we don't think about what this means. We just do it. It's the thing I've ever seen. Like, all we're doing is going out there being like, we're gay! Thank you. Prop 8 had just happened, and I remember walking down the street and having people yell faggot at me and like stuff like that, and I was in like our little pocket. If that happened in the West Village, there would be a riot. Like, again. If anybody yelled anything, everybody would turn around and just up in arms, but in West Hollywood it was just like no one, people would just disregard it. I think what's really interesting about living in New York right now and living in this time frame of like the gay rights movement, I feel like we are kind of in that world of how do we define the gay community. We found our little community of Manhattan, which everybody in Manhattan is gay. I mean, it's everywhere. Gay culture there's not one district now, that it's not just Chelsea. It's everywhere in the city. I'm being employed by the LGBT community. I'm being paid by them. That wasn't really happening in the 80s and the 70s. And like now that that's happening, they can kind of cultivate their own art. We're constantly creating. Like, we're always on our text, always texting each other. Like, what about this number? Let's do this. Okay, let's tie seagulls to our head and make them fly us around the like whatever it is that we think of. It's a great marketing tool, because anytime that I need to send someone, if I'm auditioning for something, or someone needs to see my choreography, or someone needs to see me dance, I just have to send them a link. And I have like 10 YouTube videos, and it's up there, and it's easy, it's accessible. I know people are like, you have to have a website, and everybody has to have a website, but like, I have a Facebook, and I have YouTube videos. Isn't that a website?
I feel like because it is so small, probably most of the percentage of people who live in New York City are like artists. So one, you're going to see artists everywhere. And like, if you have like that bond, it's obviously going to draw you to each other of like art. Of like, oh, you appreciate it, so do I. It's very nice. Everybody wants the same job. And for men, it's easier. Like, for every one man, there's like 3 women or something like that. It's fun, and it's hard, and it's stressful. And there's always the thought that you won't make it.